Hello everybody, it's hobbitsizz, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video. So, I am doing a card reveal today, as you probably saw from the title. But what you didn't see is that, there's no silly characters or anything today for this card reveal. It's just plain old me, plain old hobbitsizz. What? So, without further ado, we got some fun new cards to look at today. New thing just dropped 2 hours ago, so we got those to look at. We'll be talking about ZOE, and we'll be talking about a little bit about the cards beforehand, if I can find them. They're pretty far down. It's been a little bit, about 2 days since I talked about things. So, we're going to do it. And I'm going to do a little thing, which I like to call, I guess I don't really have a thing. It's broken or not broken. So I'm just going to classify whether cards are broken or not broken. Now, because the title of this video will be ZOE, or ZOE reveal, that's the first thing we'll be watching. So let's look at this from start to finish. ZOE pops in. Keep in mind, she is, while she looks 12, she's like thousands of years old. So I don't really want to say anything about that, just pointing it out there. She's like 1,000, maybe older. She's a creator of the stars like Aurelian Soul. Anyway, I should probably stop talking about her age and weird things and talking about what she does. So, when she hits the Nexus, she creates a super fun star chart thing. I really like the animations, but yeah, super cool star chart. Invoke a celestial card that costs 3 or less. So this is very similar to Behold the Infinite, except for it only has a pool of 3, like a spacey sketcher. Like that, but in a spell. So, good for generating some value. She'll take a pupper. Who doesn't love puppers? Alright, I'll talk about the other card later, but like, Paddle Star. Deal Fortune, it's so bad, comparatively. Like, in any deck that you'd run, like a stun attack, you just run Ravenous Flock. It would be if you don't want to run, if you want to run like stun support without running Noxus, which is absolutely going to be for a very fun Yasuo Leona deck. But I'm not sure if Battlestar's good enough to make it. Spell Thief. I love this card. Pick 1 of 3 enemy spells played and create a copy of it. You just copy someone's spell. Imagine for like 1 mana, you can get a Ruination that's not in your deck. Like what? Or like a Feel the Rush. Oh my god. That'd be nutty. Oh, that'd be so nutty. It's a cute animation. This is really cutesy. This is fun. Wait. Sparkle. Wait. That's ZOE's. Oh my god. Wait, can we look back at ZOE? For the rest of the game, when you summon an ally, grant its keywords to all allies. I'm assuming that's when only when she's on the board and not just when she levels up. If it's just when she levels, if it's when she levels up, that's absolutely insane. If it's only when she's on the board, that's still crazy, but at least more manageable because you can take her out. Grant its keywords to all allies. I'm immediately thinking of Heimerdinger with all his turrets having keywords, but what I'm also thinking of is Spell Shield. You play it because you're playing a target which has spell shielded things like the sorry. The 5 mana dragon that has spell shield, right? You play that, and then everything else on your board gets spell shield. Like, having a board full of spell shielded minions is crazy, especially you can just keep, like, popping more stuff to give them, like, tough or elusive or, I think this ability would be very good in, like, a mid-range deck, or even just for, like, a closing out the game type thing. Very strong. Instantly granting everything on the board elusive. The only thing with elusive was the Sparklefly and ZOE. So that's only 4 damage. He just granted every other thing elusive. That's crazy. That's so crazy. I love it. Don't subscribe to Legends of Runeterra and subscribe to me. Or do both, actually. Anyway. So let's look at ZOE real quick. I have a feeling I'll need to be in the center for most of these, so we're just going to have myself front and center and talking about these. So we got ZOE. We know what she does. She creates a Behold, Nexus Strike when she's upgraded, in addition to granting... Wow, she does a lot of things. I guess it's in addition to her Nexus Strike. So, okay. I'll start over. Base form. Her Nexus Strike creates a super cool star chart, which is right here. And then, or if you have one, reduces cost by 1. So if you hit the Nexus for 2 turns in a row, if you don't use super cool star chart, you can get it reduced to 1 mana burst speed, which is pretty nice. But she is a 1/1 elusive, so think of Teemo. She's the Targon Teemo, basically. And her upgrade, she creates a Behold the Infinite that costs 0. So immediately 2 more value than super cool star chart, and Behold the Infinite is so much better because you can get late game finishers with it, or mid game cards with. With hers, you just get 1 through 3 cost, so it's not super great. Spell Thief, I already said, is amazing. You could pull some crazy nasty spells out of it. Even like pulling a Deny in a deck that doesn't have denies could be so strong. Like if you're running this with Piltover and you yoink a Deny from someone, like that's crazy. ZOE's Sleepy Trouble Bubble. I hate this effect in League. This is such an annoying ability to get hit and you're sleeped for like 3.5 seconds. It's so annoying. But anyway, in Runeterra, not in League. What am I have a hair thing on. In Runeterra, not in League. It is a 2 mana slow speed stun enemy, so it's immediately worse than Guile. It's 1 mana more, immediately worse. But it does create a fleeting Paddle Star in hand. Paddle Star right here. Again, it's immediately worse than Ravenous Flock. It is slow speed, and it costs 2 more mana. You do get the addition that it's to an enemy that has attacked you this round. Deal fortune enemy that has attacked this round or is stunned. So, oops. Exit out of it. So that's a nice little thing that you can use it. Like, it doesn't have to be if someone's stunned. So you can play around with it a little bit more. You can kind of psych your opponents out a little bit more with it, because if it's stunned, they'll obviously probably try to heal something that's stunned. But you could also stun something that's not stunned. So, interesting tidbit there. Starry Scamp. I cost 2 less if you Behold a Celestial. Absolutely fantastic card. Absolutely fantastic. Guys, you'll most likely be playing this in a deck with a lot of either ZOE to get super cool star charts, or maybe playing with Behold the Infinite to get celestial cards that way, or with the Dawnbringer that can get you celestial cards, or maybe some of the other celestial things. But like, you have so many ways to invoke and so many ways to get celestial cards. That Starry Scamp, maybe not on turn 2, it might not cost 0, but on like turn 3 through 3 and up, you're almost guaranteed if you have this card in hand, it will be 0. So you can just get these massive mid-game tempo swings of playing 2 0 cost 2/2s or something like that. Like, that's great. Think of like Eye of the Dragon, where you had to play 2 spells and then they pop out for free. Like, you can do, but this is even more reliable than Eye of the Dragon, I think, because it's a lot easier to get a Celestial than play 2 spells in 1 turn. So, fantastic. I think this will be in like every mid-range Targon deck. Maybe just every Targon deck might run a couple copies of this. It's fan. You know what? I don't think it's broken. I don't think this card's broken, but I think it's a very strong addition to the Targon archetype. Sparklefly. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's an elusive with lifesteal. It's 2 mana. If you buff it, it'd be really good, and it works really well with what the video show with like Zoe's ability. But it's just okay. I'm not super impressed with it. I am. So a couple things I'm really excited for. Zoe, Sleepy Bubble Trouble, and Paddle Star. We have more stun support. For everyone who's seen my tournament video, I played a Yasuo Leona deck in the seasonal tournament. I love that archetype. I think it's very strong, and I think it's would only be improved with more stun support, like Sleepy Bubble Trouble and Paddle Star. So awesome there. I love it. And her level up requirement. I've seen you play 10 cards of different names. Any other requirements that make you think of? Any of them? No? How about make you think of anything else? The seeing you play 10 cards of different names? How about like Pursuit of Perfection, which is you played 20 cards of different names, summon Catastrophe. Now, for those of you who are newer to the game, Catastrophe is, I think, one of the it's in the original set, but it was basically never run once like Bilgewater came out. Like there was never a good deck that was this. So Catastrophe is a 1 mana 30/30 with Overwhelm. 30/30 with Overwhelm. 30/30. The biggest thing we have seen so far is Nautilus, as far as champions go, or just like big creatures in general, is Nautilus with what 13/13. This is a 30/30. This is if this attacks, it's an insta kill. No, like it's just an insta kill, which is why you have to play 20 cards of different names to summon Catastrophe. So ZOE immediately makes me think that if you put ZOE and Victor together, one, you're creating a lot of cards, so you're getting a lot of augment bonuses. And since all those creating cards are most of the time unique, like all the invoke things are also unique, I think you can make a ZOE Victor like invoke augment deck that uses Catastrophe as a win condition. Because Victor is not. If we can go back to Victor for a second, I'm sorry, I'm derailing a little bit, but let's look at Victor's things for a second. Your created cards cost 1 less. So this actually, Victor's ability, his upgrade ability, synergizes so well, especially his level up. You've played 8 created cards, and your created cards cost 1 less. He can make all your celestial cards cost less. Like, I think we're really going to see a powerful invoke Victor deck. But even so, Victor himself isn't the win con, right? Like, just because you upgrade Victor, he doesn't just make you win. He's not like Nautilus, who basically just wins by himself, right? Or like an upgrade Darius that you could win with. He just makes everything else better. So if we have him with ZOE, they're not win cons, but you can win con either for a giant celestial things, like the Scourge or something like that, right? Or you can go and try run Pursuit of Perfection, and you can get that upgrade with Victor's help and with ZOE's help, and get a really, really strong win con out of it. So I love this combination of Victor and ZOE. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think ZOE will also provide a lot of early game 2 invoke decks. I think you could have an invoke allegiance deck now, like a Targon allegiance deck that's built all around invoking. I think you could be very much possible with ZOE. You'll probably run with like either Aesol and ZOE or like Leona and ZOE, and I think you can just go off with it. I love all the archetypes that she'll make. Fantastic, fantastic. But enough about ZOE. We have some other cards before that I'll go over quickly because I'm sure most of you have seen this already. So, all right, let's start at the beginning. So you see Captain Enrica capture things. So, first card. The Grand Plaza. Landmark, when an ally is summoned, give it +1/+1 and challenge for this round. I'm just going to say it. This card's broken. Like, slap a big old whatever I'm doing for it. Broken. Just screen crash. That is crazy. You can, when something is summoned, so in scout decks, think of like scout decks, you can get +1/+1 on Challenger on like any scout thing that you summon, like Tide Isle Navigator, that thing. That summons another creature, which then also has +1/+1 on Challenger and Scout. Like, that's crazy. Undying decks will be fantastic with this. If you pop Harrowing with this, for the Fallen with this card, that's crazy. There's so many things that benefit from +1/+1 in Challenger. I'm also thinking of Demacia. You have Overwhelm units. Overwhelm units would absolutely love to be able to pick their targets. That's one of the biggest flaws, is that obviously you can block Overwhelm units with high health units. So being able to just take an Overwhelm unit and attack it into something on their board with like 1 health, and you being able to pick to do that, especially giving it +1 attack, because it's an Overwhelm unit, and that goes a long way. Fantastic. I think this card's going to be crazy. I think it's going to be run in so many mid-range decks. So many. Not even only Elites, Overwhelms, Undyings, find some Shadow Isles, maybe some Ephemeral decks will run this. Tons of decks. Everything will run this card. Captain Enrica. Spell Shield. It's an 8 mana, 6/6. Spell Shield, play, capture a unit or landmark. Solid. I don't think this will weak. I think it's a very solid card overall. Good removal that Demacia needs. It is capture, so it stays thematic with Demacia, and the fact that she has Spell Shield is really nice. So this is, I think it's similar to, like, Swim said it was similar to the 8/8 dragon that stun two things, the Mind Splitter. And I get the feel for that, right? It's an 8 mana, it's an 8 drop that has an immediate effect on the board that can swing things, especially be able to take a landmark that has such an impactful effect and just removing it. Fantastic. And this is hard to remove too, being a spell shield. Evershade Stalker. Nightfall, create copy of me in hand. It's ephemeral. It's fearsome. It can't block. This could be fun in a combo deck. If you manage to reduce Evershade Stalker's effect, like cost, then it could be very effective in just spamming out lots and lots and lots of these. In addition, since it is a Nightfall unit, it will trigger Nocturne's level up. So you have Evershade Stalkers going in left to right, blah, blah, blah. And then Nocturne leveling up. You can do a lot with that. I think it's a fun combo card. I don't think it'll be running very many decks, but it's a fun combo. Pesky Spectre. I love this card. Ephemeral, Last Breath, create 2 copies of me in the enemy deck. You just get to troll your opponent. This is such a like troll your opponent type card, because now you just put a bunch of Spectres in their deck, and now they just draw into Spectres. Like, they can do it back to you, and you guys just troll each other back and forth by just summoning pesky Spectres. Super fun. I think you'll definitely... It's a 0 cost too, so I think you can run this with Ravenous Butcher. And on, like, turn 1, you could... That'd be neat. On like, turn 1, you could pop out a bunch of 0 costs. You could get a very strong opening turn just with, like, Pesky Spectres and Ravenous Butchers. So that's really fun. Next up, Moonlit Affliction. Yeah, this card's broken. Absolutely. I didn't even make the sound effect there. Whatever. It's broken. It's burst speed, silence 2 enemy units. So units, not you can summon silence champions. So it's like it's a giant hush when you think of silencing 2, because you can silence 2 champions. So that part's already really good. 5 mana is a little expensive if you're doing this to silence, but Nightfall, they can't block. You're just gonna take 2 units and remove them from blocking. This is like a burst speed stun. That makes this like even activate abilities. Like, this is like a burst speed super stun when you're attacking. That's crazy. You just, like, fearsome decks get like giant hits. You can have overwhelmed decks like, oh, this can be so strong. Like dragon decks using this. Dragon decks don't have like overwhelm. They don't use fearsome, anything like that. So they just rely on overwhelming your board state. Well, if you can't block 2 of their massive dragons, you're gonna get overwhelmed. Fearsome decks, like, this will be used in so many things. Leona decks, same thing. Like, this could be easily run in like Leona Yasuo for a win con. It's a ridiculous card. I think this card's gonna... I definitely think this card's gonna be nerfed in the patch after the expansion is released. This is way too strong in my opinion. Solari Sunforger. Daybreak. Give me lifesteal this round. Solid. It's a 5/4 for 4. Solid base stat line. 4/5 for 4 is the base, so 5/4 for 4 is also the base stat line. It's 9 stats for 4 mana is about the base that we see. So this is really solid, and the Daybreak, give me lifesteal this round. It's basically like a 4 mana Daybreak heal 5. Not quite that way, but it's basically the fact that you can think of it as it's a 4 mana. If you play it on Daybreak, you heal 5 with it, which is really strong. That's really good for any mid-range deck. Like, again, I know I'm saying this a lot, but Yasuo Leona desperately needed this card. I will definitely put this in my Yasuo Leona deck. Fantastic. Just overall, not like broken or anything. It's a good card. It's just good at healing and it's good at stopping aggro decks. So I'm all for it. Targon's Peak. Round start, reduce the cost of random card from each player's hand to 0. 5 mana. This is the first Targon landmark. It is 5 mana. And this card is... I don't know if it's broken or not. It reduces each to 0. I think it could... I think it definitely has... I'm a little... It doesn't immediately strike me as broken, but it does strike me as very strong and very memeable. Because round start, reduce the cost. If you fill your deck with, say, big things like a War Mother's Call or a Field of Rush, and you get either of those out on, like, turn 6 after playing Targon's Peak, you win the game. Like, you just win on turn 6. There's no question about that. Yeah, very good. If you anything that's giant, right, you could have for zero, like a zero cost She Who Wanders and just obliterate so many things. I think you only play this with giant. I don't see a deck in which you play this without giant cards. Maybe you play this in a celestial deck to get the giant cost celestials for free. But other than that, I think you definitely run this like War Mothers, Feel the Rush. That it's like a pseudo ramp kind of thing. It's like when you get this on the board that you could super ramp. I think you run a lot of little low cards that you can play off very easily. And then you run just massive cards that will take you forever to play all of, or they could just all cost zero. This is either gonna be really memey and like Howling Abyss, where those just turned out to be terrible. It's either gonna be really memey and terrible like Howling Abyss, or it's gonna be game breaking and ridiculous. So we'll see. Last set of cards that came out following ZOE, we have. Oh, I'm sure it's just giving a little video right now. I don't know what's happening, but we'll see the card. Okay. Hunt the Weak. Noxus. Slow speed, 2 mana. Your opponent discards the weakest follower from their hand. Ooh. I like it. I don't think you main deck this card, though. I think you only build this card in reaction to what other people are playing, like what other meta decks are. Because this is very easy for you to play like 2 mana slow speed for the spell and have it discard something super weak, like a 1-drop, right? I mean, as long as they discard at least a 2-drop, I guess you're getting comparable value out of it, right? 2 for 2. If they're discarding a 3-drop, then you're good. Yeah, I think it's very good in. It's gonna be very good against certain decks. Certain decks this will absolutely kill things. And I think this would be very good in situations against certain meta decks. Very good for a side deck kind of thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm excited to see people use Hunt the Weak. Very fun. Very fun. Next card. What else we got? Ooh, that's a cool artwork. No, more Noxus cards. Brutal Hunter Challenger. When I'm summoned, give me quick attack this round. Okay. So we have a quick attack Challenger unit for Noxus. But only in the round she's summoned. So you gotta make use out of her quick attack. And other than that, she's still even without the quick attack, she's still a 4 mana 3/3 Challenger. The only thing we've seen comparable is Fiora being at a 3 mana 3/3 Challenger, but she's a champion. This is a non-champion 3/3 Challenger card. Admittedly for 4 mana, but playing her on that attack turn allows you to get quick attack on her too, which can be a very strong effect. This is really solid. I'm excited for Noxus decks to be able to use this card, and for more mid-range decks. This is a good mid-range. That even just like could even be a good card for control decks. Like Noxus control decks might run this card just to get rid of someone's board. Quick attack and Challenger, very efficient at that. Yeah, so I can't think of like any deck specifically that would use this, but I can imagine it'll be used a lot. That's solid. Wrathful, another Rider card like the Basilisk Rider. Wrathful Rider. A 7/3 Challenger for 5. The only comparable thing in Noxus is the Savage Reckoner, which is a 7/4 with Challenger and Overwhelm for 7. That doesn't see any play whatsoever. A 7/3 Challenger for 5 mana. For the most part, I'm not a huge fan of this. I think it's pretty weak. Its 3 health makes it easy enough to remove. By the time at 5 mana, most likely your opponent, if you're facing any type of control deck, most likely they'll have something to remove this. And if they don't, you're probably only getting 1 hit out of it anyway, because it only has 3 health and a lot of things have 3 attack. Unless you have some way to then buff this up. I think without buffs on it, the card's super weak. Even with buffs, I don't think it's that great. It's something that they'll have to block or you'll have to challenge with because it's 7 attack, so it does force them into that. But I'm not a fan of it. I think if you're gonna run a challenger card, you just want the you run the one before it. You run the Brutal Hunter. I think it's just Brutal Hunter's good. I think it's just better than Wrathful Rider altogether. Not a fan. Next, so I guess there's a whole Noxus set. Irel the Tracker. So these are the same wolves we seen in the beginning. Wolf, wolf, wolf. How long is this? Wolf, wolf. Yeah, these things. Anyway, Irel the Tracker. Round 6 mana, 2/5. So really weak stat line. But round end, if you cast a spell on me this round, I strike the weakest enemy. Cast a spell on me. So she's a buff target. And she strikes the weakest enemy. Now, that's not them strike each other, so it's not like Noxus Arena where the two things fight. This is she strikes it. So it's like the Draven Battle Fury. That was card called? Whatever. She hits it. So if you give her any sort of buff, like an attack buff, like an Elixir of Wrath, right? Get her to 5 attack. She then will blow up the weakest thing. This seems like they're trying to push for a Noxus like unit based control deck with lots of challengers and lots of like getting rid of the weakest things and trying to like powerhouse things. For 6 mana, this is a little expensive especially because you have to cast a spell on her, right? So being that she's at 2 attack normally, if you're going for like a big swing, you definitely won't want to cast like overwhelm buffs on her because the 2 attack just doesn't make it that beneficial, right? You much rather cast it. I mean, not that you might not run this card because, but if you're going to cast an Overwhelm, you're going to play it on the thing with 7 attack because then it'll have 10 attack with Overwhelm as opposed to 5 attack with Overwhelm. So I'm not sure how often you'll actually cast spells on her because it is only if you cast a spell on her. I think there has to be more support for Irel the Tracker to be good. I think with right now the state of Noxus, I guess you could Targon. This might be good if you're playing in a Targon deck, because then you can put gems on her. And if you put gems on her, then you can put 1 every turn to get her to keep doing continual damage. It could be a with gems. I can see it with gems. And that's about the only way I can see this card working, is if you pop it full of gems. But at 6 mana, will it be strong enough? Maybe. You got to think, if you're running it in a gem deck with this card, you're most likely running Darius. And if you're running Darius, it's like, do you want to play this for 6 mana, or would you rather play your Darius? 9 times out of 10, you're going to play your Darius. So, I think this needs to be like if it was 5 mana, I think this would see play. At 6 mana, I'm not sure. But with more support that comes out, we could see more reasons why to play this. It is Noxus removal too, though, unit-based removal, so that's also a thing. Anyway, I think that's the last card. Yep, that's it. All right. So there we have it. My card review from all the things that have happened recently. If you like this, me talking about things normally as opposed to having some crazy character come on, definitely comment, say something. Like, comment, subscribe, that stuff. But yeah, tell me which thing you like better, because I'm trying to kind of get something going so I can have like a standard way of doing card reveals and a standard way of doing gameplay. So if you like anything, please say something. On that note, that will be it for today. So, peace.